Twickenham looming large on the horizon. The cup will be won by one of 8 teams still remaining in the competition. 2 of them, Harlequins and Leicester, meet today at a packed stoop in the quarter-finals of the Powergen Cup. So, Leicester in London on the back of that Heineken Cup defeat in Wales 7 days ago, and you have to have a very long memory to recall the last time the Tigers lost 2 in a row. But as Quins proved last year, you never know. Here are the commentators, Stuart Barnes and Mars House.
And there are no other clubs that have played more than these two in a cup quarter-final. An amazing 21st appearance at this stage for Harlequins and Leicester. Not bad in 30 years of the competition. And it's the most recent piece of cup history between today's rivals. Last year's semi-final, which Quins famously won, that is getting everyone talking here. But few are predicting a repeat 12 months on, Stuart.
No, once again, Leicester are odds-on favourites, but the Quins can take heart from Llanelli's superb victory in last week's European Cup tie. To repeat last year's Cup win, the Quins need to be tactically tight and ferocious in the tackle. Then, who knows?
Teams then, and for big games, it's always useful to have your big game players, and the absence of England's Luger and Ireland's Wood are significant blows to Quins' chances, make no mistake. Wood's performance in last year's semi-final was typically heroic. Tani Fuga fills Wood's shoes today. Rob Jewell is in Luger's. Dave Slemon, son of former England winger Mike, is at full-back. Nick Burrows at centre. Young prospect, the scrum half Nick Duncombe, also comes in. They are the other changes from the back division in the side that lost to Leicester in the Premiership just before Christmas. Well, talking of losing, Leicester, of course, did that just last week, and the last time they lost 2 on the bounce, the spring of '98, and this is a 15 with no intention of letting that happen again. It's a much-changed 15, not in the backs, where Ollie Smith for Steve Booth is the only alteration from Stradey Park, but in the pack where Jelly, Nebbert, Deacon, Cromfell, Balding all come in, challenging some of the big names who have to sit this one out initially. Yes, Leicester have one eye on a European Cup quarter-final, but they have not come here to go out of this competition. It's a fascinating choice. Now, a very young Quins bench revealing how far their squad has been stretched by injury. And the contrast with Leicester, well, it's quite incredible, as Johnson, Garforth and Back all sit on the Leicester bench waiting to get involved. It's ominous from a Quins point of view. Martin Johnson in his tracksuit at this stage. Not a familiar sight, but it was earlier in the season, and Dean Richards, Stuart, was mentioning that before the kickoff.
Yeah, that's right. It gives Leicester the ability to play the game almost at 2 gears. The first team come out, 60 minutes they play at about 85%, and then comes Back, Johnson and co, and you find overdrive. And teams found it very hard to stop them. I remember one day at Kingsholm when Leicester were devastated in the second half, and I think that's what this selection's about.
Leicester smarting from their reverse at Llanelli, a defeat which was never going to fatally damage their Heineken Cup aspirations, but a loss here today would send them crashing out of the Powergen Cup for the second time on this ground in just over a year. Now that's a thought which the players will simply not entertain. Josh Cromfell in for Neil Back, Cromfell for Back. Well,
he'll be looking forward to starting. He hasn't had that many starts. Dean Richards letting him off the leash today. I thought at Stradey last week the home team wanted it more than Leicester. Now that is something you very rarely see. So I think mentally the Quins are up against it today.
So now the home side, only 5 of this team started last year's semi-final. So when you put it like that, you just wonder how relevant all this talk of last year is. But those who did experience that victory will be emphasising the positive, as is this Harlequins crowd. It's another sellout. It was for the Premiership just before Christmas. It is for the Cup here today.
Paul Burke, he's going to be central to Harlequins' hopes. You say, Miles, only 5 played, but that's a third of this team. And when you think there are very few English players who have beaten Leicester in big matches. Greenwood, of course, was magnificent that day. He hasn't had a great season so far, and both the club and country, I think he needs a big game today.
And the added spice for Greenwood against his former club. There's the referee, Tony Spreadbury. Now, he was in charge of the final between these two 8 years ago. 2 years ago, John Kingston was in charge at Richmond. He was thwarted then at the semi-final stage. Can he and his Quins team now return to the Medeski Stadium for a semi-final day this season? It would be at the expense of the European champions, the tallest of orders then. Quins won the toss. They have decided to play into this very strong wind. So Leicester looking to take advantage of the elements early on. It's Andy Goode to get this quarter-final underway. And Garrick Morgan's take. He's the skipper for Quins, and he will want to lead from the front. Quins, having suffered that defeat in the final, want to return to Twickenham. They vowed to at the final whistle last season. Paul Burke kicks to touch, and his kicking in general will be such a key factor of this cup tie.
But more than his kicking as well, his control of the game, because playing into the wind, he's going to have to pass balls as well. It's when to go short, when to look for the width. Very important that the Quins are solid in the set piece and take Leicester on in the line out and win all their primary possession.
And also when they get the chance to kick at goal, and when he is kicking, Burke can't afford to miss. You have to take every opportunity. Now Duncombe feeds him, and Burke turns back in towards the back row. Tamarua was there. Duncombe's pass again. It's given to Bill Davison, one of 4 ex-Saracens in this Harlequins pack. Advantage being played. Offside against Leicester. And there's the young Duncombe, this exciting prospect at scrum half, feeling the weight of Tuilangi. And the Leicester winger put him down, he flattened him. Hamilton feeds to Goode. They'll be looking for more control at half-back. And Murphy comes through from full-back, dangerous as always. Leon Lloyd was there too. Out it goes from Cromfeld to Goode. Now it's Kafer. Long pass. Just doesn't fall for Tuilangi. But Tuilangi still has time to get it. Morgan was first across the second row. Dorian West passes out to Goode. Cromfeld again. It's a good fast start from both sides. Hamilton. Goode again. Another penalty, this time to Leicester. Once more it's for offside.
That's a good counter-attack from Leicester. Nick Duncombe felt the full weight of Freddie Tuilangi. Anybody who thinks that Leicester aren't up for the cup should watch this first hit from Tuilangi. He reads it well. Duncombe's made a smart little break. Left wing coming from out of picture. Bang. Completely legitimate. That's just using his power. There you go. 2 arms. Ball turned over, and Duncombe's learned a hard fact of life in Premiership rugby. You've got to be strong in the tackle.
Well, previously in his very short career, Nick Duncombe has broken his neck. It's amazing that the youngsters bounced back from that so early on and has now got himself into the England A training squad. There's another fine young England player, Andy Goode. Scored a try in last season's semi-final, the match which Quins won, and he has snaked over 3 points there. 1 or 2 smiles, no doubt, from the Leicester supporters who have seen Andy Goode hit a ball a lot better than that. So has Dean Richards. But wind assisted. Goode got it there, and Leicester lead by 3 points to 0.
Well, he went below the wind almost to get that one, didn't he? Certainly didn't use the advantage of the elements. Now, that was a good kick, a hanging kick there, but Harlequins didn't reclaim it.
I say that, but it is a very strong wind, and just standing down on the pitch half an hour before kick-off, you were being buffeted around. And the elements did play a part in the match between these two just before Christmas, when Harlequins, of course, had a very strong first half. Leicester went away in the second period to win by 38 points to 21. And Harlequins need another strong first half here. It's Leicester with a couple of stones. Of course, in that Premiership match, Harlequins were stunned by Jordan Murphy's breakaway try. This time it's Good's kick. As Leicester are first to strike. And striking there, Hooker Tani Fuga. Duncombe to Burke and then Greenwood. Duncombe again. Looking to use their big forwards, and they've got some as well in Davison, Morgan, Diprose, White, Cooper. Some strong men. Here's Diprose. He was captain of the Saracens Cup winning side 4 years ago now. Duncombe sitting back is Burke, and he's put that in behind Ollie Smith, who's on the wing today. He's played there before now. Did that just brush off Smith? Oh, it was close. It will be a Leicester throw, and there were 1 or 2 boos on that far side. Ashley Rowden made the decision.
And Harlequins into the wind, pleased there, because they kept the ball under control well, and then when Burke kicked, well, yeah, it's a good kick from Burke, no doubt at all. It did go straight into touch, but Leicester had driven backwards, so good couple of minutes from Harlequins. Very good. You know, they'll be hoping that, okay, Leicester have got big guns to bring on in the second half, but if they could go in pretty much evens at half-time, then gives them every chance, doesn't it, with a wind advantage and Burke's ability to boot the ball long distances.
Harlequins had that boost of a win over Bridgend in European competition. It did little to change their fortunes in the competition. Leicester, of course, lost to Llanelli but qualified for a quarter-final. That's Greenwood's pass, and this is Sleman coming in from full-back. Reared as a fly half, unlike his father, a famous winger, but slotting into this full-back role for Harlequins, which has been a problem position for them this season. This is Burke to Nick Burrows, returning to the side and making quite an impact. What a run from Nick Burrows there. Scrum half Duncombe tried to get there quickly, not quite quickly enough. There are enough Leicester players to foil him, but also to give a penalty away. That was a fine burst from Nick Burrows. And this should be 3 points for Paul Burke to equalise the scores. 7 minutes gone.
Almost deja vu, of course. Nick Burrows made a coruscating break in the Cup semi-final last year from around that position. This time he steps inside Leon Lloyd. You can see Lloyd just drifts a little bit too far off. The inside shoulder is exposed. Support not there in time. Murphy with the tackle, just not men there quickly enough. But Leicester forced to kill the ball, and it should be a pretty simple 3 points for Paul Burke.
Last season's cup final for Nick Burrows was his first ever trip to Twickenham, either as a player or spectator. Paul Burke, 22 points in the last round against Sale, a match which went to extra time. Well, it goes to 3-3 now, but I'd be surprised if that was the final score today, and that saw us through to extra time. But it is level, and Paul Burke cancels out Andy Good's previous effort, and there is the Leicester bench, full of talent, full of famous names.
And full of encouragement for their teammates. But what was encouraging there will have been the Leicester defence breached by Nick Burrows. That was good play from the centre.
Good take from Greenwood. And then Matt Moore.
It's a good take from Moore. Sloppy pass from Greenwood.
And sloppy play generally from Harlequins after that, as they ask questions of themselves underneath their own posts. Can do without that. And there's been a knock-on, and Leicester will put in, and this is a very threatening position now. Will Greenwood, time to defend.
That's slack play there from Harlequins. You just mustn't give Leicester this sort of position now. And of course, the Leicester scrum struggled at Stradey Park last week. 2 fresh props, they'll be looking to impose themselves.
It's It's a good shove. It's turning round and Boulding senses that, takes it away, gives it to Cromfeld. Strong work from the Leicester back row. Hamilton feeds it out. It's Jordan Murphy to Leon Lloyd, who is a spiky customer and takes some stopping. That's short. This is Hamilton, who tries to duck and dive and weave his way towards the line. Murphy steps in as scrum half. Out it goes to Good and nearly through. It's going to be a scrum.
Good defence there from Harlequins, because Leicester stretching them both ways. And now the scrum was 20 metres out, it's 5 metres only. Richard Hill, Keith Wood and John Kingston sitting there probably concerned about this situation.
It's given to Hamilton. Here comes Jordan Murphy. They can't afford to give him space, but there's been an accidental offside. He ran into his own man, and that is the only reason why Leicester don't have a try.
Murphy, so dangerous, coming on the late angle. Tuolangi, he just comes a fraction early, really, because I think Murphy had a hole there. I think Tuolangi should have stayed wide. He didn't really need to step in at all. He just drew the Harlequins defender.
And blocked his own man.
Yep.
Now it's the Quins back row to show a bit of power and set up a position from which they can clear, and they've done that. As Leicester lead the scrum before it's concluded, and Paul Burke. Good solid kick from him. Didn't quite get the distance, and that's further indication of the strength of Wyn. Here's that incident with Murphy and Tuolangi again.
Well, you can see Murphy's got a 2-on-1 and Tuolangi steps in, and really he should have stayed wide.
Stay there, lads. Stay there, John.
Duncombe to Burke.
Leave it. Balls out. Play on.
And again, that combination, and there were 4 Leicester players waiting. In fact, one of them, Good, didn't even have to think about a tackle, and he was only a metre away. He left it to the other 3. Now it's along the line to find Greenwood. Inside it goes to Moore, and Matt Moore has been taking those this season. He's had a pretty productive season. Made a lot of clean breaks. Kafer, inviting pass for Murphy, loves those, and then it's dropped by Lloyd. So some slippy hands.
Some openings as well at the moment. The side's just not taking them. It's a lovely inside ball here. Greenwood one-handed ball. Moore does brilliantly first of all, because he read it well, came off the angle, and here's the inside ball from Murphy, and Leon Lloyd just takes his eyes off the ball. But both teams putting width on it, finding, well, half-cats, certainly.
Yes, the signs are good. Dip Rose to Duncombe. Harlequins know that all their players have to be at the top of their game today. Burke placing this one. Murphy, it's taking an age for him to get hold of it, but he did well once he got the ball in hand. Jordan Murphy, part of the Irish squad for the forthcoming Six Nations Championship.
But again, very good play from Harlequins, protecting the ball well, and when nothing was on, Burke didn't try and force the pace, he just arrowed a diagonal ball, made 30 metres, and Harlequins keep the ball and they count the clock a little bit.
Tani Fuga in for Keith Wood, whose calf injury prevented him from playing. Burke to Moore, tackled by Boulding, well, half tackle, Moore kept going and he made himself a target, and it's Duncombe again to Tani Fuga. The arrival of Ace Tia gave him a bit of competition behind Keith Wood. He seems to have sparked Fuga into some pretty good form. And he will hook at this scrum and try and bring the ball back to his side. It will be a Quins put in.
You can see Tuamara's shirt off at the moment. Ripped away from the tackle there. Two Leicester forwards around his man.
To Tamarua, the Australian Sevens international. Played for Queensland Reds, recommended to Harlequins by David Wilson. The news on Wilson, by the way, man who scored a try in the semi-final last season, match-winning try. Wilson will return to this country in February. Will Harlequins still be in the cup?
I hope that's not a direct question. It's been a decent first 15 for Harlequins, no doubt about that.
Duncombe to Sleman. His delivery is good to Burrows, and then Kiefer. And with 19 caps for Australia, gets in, makes a hard tackle there. Burke, Morgan, another Australian international. Duncombe, good pass under pressure. Burke feeds on to Greenwood. Little slip ball to Fuga, lost it. Referee looks for an advantage, nothing coming.
No.
Well, there's plenty of invention, plenty of spirit there from both sides. The thoughts are all there.
Well, and I think also you're seeing some good passing there. Fuga unfortunately couldn't quite maintain the standards of the backs, but Greenwood's timing of the pass was good. And you can see more errors from Harlequins, but plenty of ambition as well at the moment, you know. I think that's the more important fact at the moment.
Yes, you don't mind errors when there's the ambition there, which is entertaining you to get to that point.
And that hasn't always been the case with Harlequins. They've been a little constricted in their play at times this season.
Well, nothing constricted about that kick from Good. He let fly. And it went sailing into touch.
Here's the impact of the wind. Andy Good, of course, does have a siege gun of a boot. My, that was a half of another pitch across, wasn't it? Big strike.
Well, yet to gauge the wind, but he also put far too much in it. He knew it as soon as he kicked it, and it all means that the line out now gives Quins an attacking option, but only if they get the ball. That was straight down the throat of Ben Kay. Such an asset, Kay, to Leicester and now England.
Of course, once he's back in his 22, no danger at going straight out. He could just launch that huge right boot and eat up the meters.
Bit of a hobble there from Gu, but he's just jogging that off now. This is the throw straight to Kay, and that is meat and drink to him.
Well, I didn't even see a Harlequin jumper going up there. That was almost like Fuga had thrown it on a preordained call to Ben Kay. And if he does have a weakness, Tana Fuga, that is it. He does sometimes struggle when the pressure comes on as a thrower.
Try to pick out Davison that time, but it's scrappy ball. It's the ball that Duncombe, the scrum half, simply doesn't want. Tamarua acts as scrum half, and Burke, right on the edge of his 22, finds touch. The referee was happy that he was not returning into his 22.
I think he's just having a word on behalf of young Nick Duncombe to the pack. We don't want that sort of ball, thank you very much. It's got to be cleaner than that, because with the likes of Cromfeld in the field, they'll snaffle up one of those, and turnover ball there is dangerous.
Mind you, it's catching, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, certainly is from a Harlequins point of view. Catching there was Tamarua from Dorian West. With the temporary disease, normally West is absolutely spot on with his throwing. The England hooker. And it's back for the scrum.
Now, this is one of the laws I don't really understand. It wasn't a straight line out. Harlequins won it, they played the ball. We go back to the line out for the first offence. We say it every week, Miles, but isn't this advantage enough? Look, Tamarua gets the ball. It comes out Harlequins' way. They've won a line out. That's the advantage. Because if you just keep playing, what you do end up with in a game is a significant proportion of dead time where you're saying the advantage, but nothing's happening. and the fans are thinking, well, this is like a, you know, a sideshow.
I agree. I think the defence from the referee's point of view will be better ball for Harlequins from the scrum, but I think the point is, and for the greater good, is to let the game flow. And they've got the ball, let's just get on with it.
Well, that is the essential part of a restart, isn't it? There's a means of restarting the game, and if Leicester throw it in and Harlequins get it, that's advantage enough, yeah.
Stay on that scrum, both of you.
Burke, and then Sleman.
He's had a good first 20 minutes, you know. He picked some nice lines.
And watch him run as well. He runs just like his dad. You can remember Mike Sleman playing for England from the mid-70s through to the mid-80s. Well, Dave Sleman has taken on his dad's running style.
No outboard motor, just like his father. He's got that glide. It's almost like there's a sail. He gets the line and he just drifts on it very well.
England under-21 player came to Harlequins from Orrell. It's just his third game. And he's starting to catch the eye here. Lots of shuffling at the line out.
You don't throw it in. You're not ready to, right? Leicester, I want the gap, okay? Let's start again. Both sides are at fault. We go again. No, stay as you are. Right.
Both sides may be at fault, but there's no doubt at all. Leicester will be inwardly smiling, thinking, yeah, we've got this opposition man under a bit of pressure. Almost looked like the yips then, didn't it?
Going for the safe option, therefore. This is Burke. Greenwood. Little pop ball again from Greenwood. He's got good vision, good delivery. Well, world-class vision, world-class delivery. This is Burrows, skipping the first tackle again. There's a couple of threatening breaks now from Burrows. Duncan to Burke. He's only got Moore there. Moore must turn back inside and be strong. He is. Duncan caught by West. And some aggressive tackling there from the Leicester pack as they poured through, but it's Harlequins who will put in. Leon Lloyd was in there as well, joining the forwards. And West has taken a blow.
Yeah, as he was given one, but he's certainly not well, so Cockrell will be warming up. But I've been impressed as well, you know, with the centre combination at the moment. Greenwood is coming late with those passes, and Burrows is picking interesting angles as well. You know, Nick Burrows, once again, he's stepping inside, causing problems there.
And they're bringing Rob Jewell in off that left-hand wing, aren't they? This is more the right winger we see in picture here, cutting back inside. But initially, it was Greenwood to Jewell, and that worked quite well.
Yeah, well, he's a big, strong player. He's not the quickest wing you'll ever see, Rob Jewell, but he is powerful. And they're just questioning Leicester's drift defence. Greenwood, like I said earlier, hasn't had a great season so far, but he's impressed in the first 22 minutes.
He was in Leicester's team the last time they won the cup. And there's Rob Jewell, who has come to Harlequins from Gloucester. Darren O'Leary went the other way.
Right and hold. No, you can't go anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Right, I cannot let you go down until he's with me. Right, listen to me. And crouch and hold. Engage. Thank you.
Tony Spreadbury making his mark again. Burke missing out Greenwood this time. Matt Moore. Another long blast. Ball is held up.
Ball's held up. Leicester ball.
Leicester.
Well, Matt Moore there really on the drift coming round, but he stepped inside into the drift, exactly where Leicester, Rod Cafer wanted him to come, able to hold him up, turnover ball there.
In that last scrum, Nick Burrows was on the side of it for Harlequins and then popped up as the scrum half. They're trying things. Hamilton, his 150th appearance today for Leicester, Jamie Hamilton. A loyal servant. Made his debut 12 years ago now. And he's combining with Good, and they didn't have the best of days at Stradey Park.
Well, certainly Jamie Hamilton was on the back foot. The Leicester tight unit didn't play at all, and Hamilton was exposed a little bit. But it's much more solid ball there. As is that from Deacon.
It's Lewis Deacon, the replacement for Martin Johnson, who, to remind you, starts the match on the bench, as does Neil Back. Good's inside pass is to Kafer, and that's a good pass off the floor. I don't know how he got that away. There's Deacon, supported by Jelly, who clears away to find Hamilton to make sure his scrum half had it. This is Josh Cromfell. Over 50 caps for the All Blacks. Kafer again. Quins know that they have to defend for their lives today, but they'll have to work very hard now because Good was just threatening to break the line. Tuilangi, little chip from him, good skills from Tuilangi.
In the side, Quins, no advantage. But
previously, at the ruck, Harlequins coming in from an offside position, so it will be a Leicester penalty. Don't often see Tuilangi chip. He likes to just run through the opposition, not go over the top. And Richard Cottrell, another famous name on that bench, England international.
Dorian West grimacing a little bit, but he was born with a grimace, Dorian West. I wouldn't read too much into that yet. Chance for Leicester to take the lead, but bear in mind they do have the conditions with them. Just a bit of a threat there. Both Good and Tuilangi were quite flat on the phase ball and able to get behind Harlequins.
So to put Leicester back in front, Andy Good. Flag stay down. Bit of a conference between Ashley Rowden and Brian Campsell, but they took their time to make sure the sun is low and strong. But it was a miss, and it stays at 3-3. There's Brian Campsell, international referee in his own right, on the touchline today.
Paul Burke smiling. Doubtless one of the reasons was that miss from Good. Should really have got that.
No Tim Stimpson for Leicester. He shattered his cheekbone in the match just before Christmas. It was a sickening challenge that he was involved in. Another penalty.
7 offside.
Tamarua singled out as the offside man, so Andy Good has the perfect opportunity to make amends for that miss. Will Harlequins get away with it a second time? You doubt it.
Silly penalty to concede. Discipline from Harlequins very good so far. I certainly wouldn't say Leicester have come out all guns blazing. Harlequins showed signs of being far from overawed, and Leicester, they're not convincing at the moment.
He's missed the other way this time. So Andy Good having a bad day. Harlequins do get away with it. There are two factors, of course, to consider after half-time. One is that Harlequins will get the benefit of the strong wind, but also the Leicester bench. Leicester will get the benefit of bringing on some world-class players.
There's a strong run from Baldwin there, went back to go forward. He set up good ball for his backs.
He's always got good awareness, Balding. He's a fine sevens player, of course. He's starring on that stage currently with England. Hamilton. Talking of which, the England management team are here today to watch this match. This is Kafer. Spreadbury looking hard, not seeing the ball coming back. And Leicester will put into this scrum. They're having good territory here, but not coming away with the points. And there is Clive Woodward, the England manager, and Brian Ashton alongside.
I think Brian Ashton will probably be quietly pleased with what he's seeing from Will Greenwood. A little surprised But Dorian West, he is coming off now, so Richard Cockrell on. But there's Greenwood, who's quietly influential in this first half hour or so. It's a well-balanced cup tie, isn't it? You made the point. Harlequins with the elements, Leicester with that power-packed bench.
So Richard Cockrell, a man who's been coaching with Rugby Lions this season, as well as fulfilling his playing duties with Leicester, joins the front row alongside Derek Jelly, nearest to us, and on the far side there, Ricky Nebbett, who's been called into the England squad.
It's gone down. Both of you. Both of you.
He's having a tussle with Jason Leonard at the moment. And Tony Spreadbury's gone to just investigate what's happening between those two.
And Duncombe got a boot in there and unsettled Hamilton. That's great play from the scrum half. He's given it to Moore, Matt Moore. Inside that Leicester 22, Tamarua arrives. They need to move it quickly though, because Leicester now are getting men back. And they couldn't get the ball because Leicester have given away a penalty. And maybe they were thinking 3 points better than 7, because, well, certainly if Quins had got quick ball, there was the chance of an overlap. It never came.
Well, it came from brilliant play, you know, from Duncombe. Once again, we did single Jamie Hamilton out as a potential weakness, and Duncombe got to him. I thought he could have given the ball to Matt Moore, but he makes a nice little break. You can see not a great ball coming out the scrum. Doesn't give the ball, but the little break, then the ball to Matt Moore. Now, I feel here too, Tamarua just had to just get out of the way, wipe the ball and leave it to Duncombe at 9. The flanker made a decision. You don't go that extra metre against the Tigers, because all you do is run into those shirts and the ball is slowed down. And historically, Leicester will concede 3 points every time. A bad error by the flanker.
Well, Leicester have conceded 6 penalties. They do concede a lot of penalties. And there's the confirmation of it. Tamarua had his head down. Duncombe didn't. The overlap was on. Anyway, here's 3 points possibly for Burke to give Quins the lead. John Kingston says that you can almost turn away when Burke lines up for goal, even when it's wide towards the touchline. It's a very settling thing for the coach to have a fly half who delivers like that. Good hit from Burke. Never in doubt, 6-3, and all of a sudden Andy Goo's misses look very costly as Harlequins get that boost psychologically.
Yeah, a little psychological seesaw there, isn't it? Leicester going down, Quins going up. Do feel Leicester really would like to get something before the interval with the wind here.
Well, they've got the ball, and they've got a great chance here to hit them from the restart, but then Greenwood nearly intercepted to go the other way. Well, Stuart, you're talking of seesaws there. Was a bit of a ding-dong as from the restart there's a great opportunity as Quins are caught flat-footed, and then it's Will Greenwood nearly sneaking away.
Story of the game, almost. I suppose the almost in the first half has been almost more for Harlequins than it has for Leicester. Another stoppage for injury, Ben Kay this time. And that will be some concern for the England management, no doubt. Young man with a big future.
Yes, this is the time of year when Clive Woodward and Ryan Ashton there, along with Andy Robinson and everybody else involved in the England setup, we'll be looking at matches like this and looking for who's in form and what's happening, but also keeping their fingers crossed that there are no injuries which prevent the England management picking the team that they want to pick. This is Hamilton to Murphy, and that is a chip into space which Murphy may well collect. He does. That is terrific play off the floor to Cromfeld, who did well to arrive so quickly. Hamilton to Good, who again could see a gap opening up in midfield. He was only just closed out, but just was enough that time for Quins, and they could be turning this one over. They have. Burke. And there are little moments now that will build the Harlequins' self-belief. Murphy, you've seen him score from situations like this. He's quite brilliant on occasions, and this was always going to land for him. Beautifully judged by him, got a good bounce, but he did a lot of hard work to get to that position, but then Quins survived, didn't they?
Yes, they did, Leicester. A little bit lateral from the next phase of play, and Harlequins really are defending well, as they did a month ago in the league.
Ollie Smith, no joy off his wing there. Referee gives a penalty. Holding on by Smith.
And then that was a very premeditated move. Very sluggish from Leicester. You could see that one coming from 50 metres away, the inside ball. And Harlequins just read it very, very easily. You know, 5 minutes plus injury time till the break, 6-3 up. It's a good situation for Quins. There's Ollie Smith, number 14. There's the ball coming out. He's been held too long beforehand.
Well, Nick Duncan could see the ball was going to be turned over. Smith was on his own, trying to hold on to the ball illegally. Here is Duncan, who is having to feed off some scraps, but he's doing it well.
Stay back, boys, stay back, stay there, stay there. No, it's not right, go on.
Fuga, Duncan, Burke. Sleman with Jewell giving him the pass, so both wingers, Moore and Jewell, over on this near side. It's all bunched actually, so they can't really go left for width. This is Olver. Well, if he's held on to it, it was good play from Olver. It was good play. Duncan tackled by Leon Lloyd and knocking on, and on this near side there's a bit of a scrap, which will prevent the game from going on. In fact, it's still going on.
Leave it, leave it. Leave it, boys, leave it. Let go of him. Let go of him, please. Let go of him.
I think Garrick Morgan involved there.
Leave it.
And it's Louis Deacon. Louis Deacon there.
No way, no way. Shush.
The touch judge should be able to tell us what happened. He was about 3.5 centimetres away.
Shush, go away. Go away, please.
So it's the 2 second rows. Ashley Rowden talking to Tony Spreadbury. This is it. The 2 number 4s. And Paul Burke trying to get out of there.
A little bit of a knee there. A wrestle.
Well, he's had a little bit of a knee, and that knee belongs to Richard Cockrell. That's why he's been called up.
So that kid's going on the floor. You came in and need somebody there. Just, you are penalised for it. Go very steady, okay? Thank you. That's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Well, I think what the referees decided, he couldn't really work out who was the major offender between the 2 second rows, so Cockrell's knee has cost his side the penalty. Cockrell claims that he was just pushing the man away.
I think it was a little bit more, not much more than a little bit more, but a little bit more, and it was a penalty. You know, the 2 second rows were just rolling around, trying to impose themselves. Now you could just see Cockrell's right knee, just watching it, anything going on there. No, that's not pushing him away, that's just a niggling knee. No intent to do damage, and no harm's done to Leicester, because, well, they should have won the line-out, they did, and then it's turned again.
And Quins go pouring through to give the ball to Duncan. And then Burke and Jewell.
Get away.
Duncan again. Burke, Greenwood. Looking around and finding Matt Moore. Quins really going for something just before half-time, but now they have to beware the breakaway. Leon Lloyd forced to juggle with it. Hamilton, Murphy. Maybe it's Leicester who'll get this important score. It's a crucial time, this. It will greatly affect how both sides go down the tunnel. What's going through their minds. Again, howls of derision, sensing some foul play. I think the supporters all around us. Referee's happy just to give the knock on. Keith Wood's not happy.
Now he thought Tuolangi hit a man off the ball. He didn't think he was clearing the rock. He's over the side. You watch Tuolangi coming out of picture there. And it's Fuga's the man. Well, you see, he is actually out of the ruck there. He is out of the ruck. But having said that, it's not a really vicious dig, is it? He's just giving him a shove. It looked worse live than it was.
Queen's ball. Hang on, lads, hang on. Queen's ball, knock on. Yeah, it is. 22. Hang on.
So into time added on by referee Spreadbury in this first half. Haven't seen the try, but it's a half which has held the attention. Duncombe, all behind Wood. Burke, I should say. Wood's on the touchline. Similar heads. To go and see Austin Healy. He'll sort them out.
And Spreadbury goes back for the knock on there by Andy Goode. Duncombe threatening again there, you know. And I just think the Harlequins scrum half has got the better of Jamie Hamilton at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ellis on at half-time. In that key area at the base, Harlequins have just shaded it.
Burrows.
Stay back foot, Leicester, stay back foot.
Duncombe. Burke. Charged down by Jelly. Burke will need to get a boot in or something. Hasn't. Oh, that's brave, because Cockrell was prepared to put his boot there. Now it's good, and it's very much on. Kafer to Corrie. Should have gone wide, and they're still screaming the Quins cover on that far side for extra men. And it's Harlequins who get the ball as it goes forward. Well, it's been a half of missed opportunities, and there was the latest one. As Leicester let Quins off the hook.
Well, Corrie came powerfully through the middle, but I think Kafer should have missed him. Leon Lloyd's got men outside him, and you can see there, Rob Jewell was saying, men, I need men, but the ball didn't get there. Chance gone begging.
Diprose.
Get away, 6. Get away, hands out, Leicester. Well played.
Had a tight game at number 8, Diprose. And Burke sends it out. Settling into his new club now, and of course a major asset to Harlequins. He's an international quality player that once captained his country.
He's done well with Duncombe today. I think he's given a good lead from 8. Signal's an important man. I think he's come through well, at least in the first half.
Richard Cockrell. Of course, nothing he does the home supporters will approve of. Looked okay, that throw to me. It found Deacon. And this is Bowling, and the tackles get bigger. Good. Kafer was going to ship that one on, but didn't take it cleanly. Therefore, he just checked on the pass and didn't risk it. Kronfeld.
Some of the support runners, though, from Leicester, the likes of Bolden, are so flat at the moment, they're not getting their customary impetus.
That was good, though, from Cockrell, wasn't it? On the floor, just rumbling on extra 5 metres to make sure his side keep going forward, but they give away a penalty. Going over the top. Strangely un-Leicester aspects of this performance, and Dean Richards, who said that Llanelli were up for it more than we were last week. Something you don't expect Dean Richards to say. Will be disappointed with many aspects of this first half.
Well, yeah, I think there's been an extra snap to Harlequins. When Leicester have put width on the game, they haven't really found the killer pass at the moment. And on the floor, Harlequins are competing very well. You do sense Leicester will be sooner rather than late to make changes in the second half, because it's not happening at the moment, and we have to reiterate, Leicester have the breeze at the moment, and it's pretty strong. And in Paul Burke, Quins have a man who can utilise wind.
Well, I get the feeling we should be looking out for changes straight after half-time. Those players will be chomping at the bit. Its eyes peeled before the first whistle in the second half. Paul Burke looks so composed. He's such a calming influence, isn't he?
Yeah, and this game has gone his way at the moment because Leicester haven't maintained possession. There's not been any frenetic pace. It's been slow, and Burke has just controlled proceedings very well with young Nick Duncan at the base of the scrum.
Who's been behind Powell and Beeman this season, Duncan. He's only 20 on Monday, so he's not been rushed. But you can see why John Kingston couldn't wait to play him. Another good pass to Burke, to Greenwood, and Sleman with that little turn and jive. Holding on.
Release, not release, not release.
See what I mean about his dad?
Not release. No problem.
Mike Sleman, a jiver. I know he's a veteran, Miles, but you're going back away.
Hey, the 70s. Don't knock it.
Sorry,
Now this could be a last opportunity for Leicester. Here's Dave Sleman, that little step. I don't know about a jive from you. That would be the jitterbug. You are the jitterbug. The Harlequins, they'll be a little bit jittery about Leicester here. 6 minutes of injury time played, and if Leicester could score anything here, it might just alter the mental set of this game.
Cockerell's throw, reliable one to Kay. Now it's Kafer.
Away. Leave it, that's it.
Hamilton, Boulding. Something threatening here about Leicester. They could erase quite a few memories in this first half with a score, but they're not going to.
First offence, you're quite right. First offence, not release.
Once more, holding on after the tackle had been made.
And they're just not getting men to the breakdown quickly enough. The ball carriers are a little bit lateral at time, but Kronfeld is not all over this ball as we've seen him so often. I think Leicester will want back on because they've got a problem into this win now.
And we have got a fascinating cup tie here. The Powergen quarter-final between Harlequins and Leicester is poised, just like it was in the semi-final last year.
So Harlequins 6, Leicester 3 is the story at half-time at the Stoop. But here's how the rugby story on Sky Sports is going to pan out in the year ahead. We'll follow England's fortunes as they strive for that elusive Grand Slam in the Six Nations Championship.
England are in Six Nations heaven.
Who'll be lifting the cup this year? All the drama of the knockout competition, we've got it covered. The Premiership also followed every step of the way through to its conclusion in May and beyond the Championship playoffs. In February, we start our comprehensive coverage of the Southern Hemisphere's finest, the Super 12. The Tri-Nations get our full attention as well. And then in the autumn, the Tri-Nations are heading to Twickenham. All three internationals live only on the home of rugby.
Good night, South Africa.
So a great year of rugby ahead here on Sky Sports, but ahead to come in the next 40 minutes or so, we'll see whether Harlequins can cause another great cup upset at the Stoop. They lead Leicester by 6 points to 3. The thoughts of Liner and Morris after the break.
If there was no football, There'll be no last-minute winners, no refereeing blunders, no get stuck in, no build-up, no match, no analysis, no crying and wailing because you've gone down again, no Sunday lunch and local derby, no atmosphere, no one to take your frustration out on. Hey, you blind referee! No agony, no ecstasy, no try. Long live football. No Sky Sports, no devotion.
Yeah.
Tim Goodings from England?
Tim? Oh, Tim. Hi. Your presentation? Did we print out Tim's email presentation? Sure. Oh, terrific technology. I think we put it together right. Value chain chart. The econometric models, yeah, the reds are good. Yeah, and those blues. Operational plan pullout. Well, any questions, we can call you. Not at all, Tim. Bye.
Hello, Jack.
David. Good flight?
Yes, thanks.
Let's get down to business.
If you won't fly to your customers, someone else will.
Great. Yeah.
It's better to be there. British Airways.
He loved the pullouts. It's in the bag.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can.
When the world is weighing on you, look around. Because I'll be standing beside you. I see, I know what's inside.
Something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
Susie Smith,
Who's asking?
Benefit Fraud Investigation Service.
Benefit fraud offenders. With thousands of fraud investigators on your case,
What are you looking at?
we're on to you.
There's more live American football coming up this weekend with live coverage of the NFL divisional playoffs at 9:30 tonight. It's the Chicago Bears against the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots against the Oakland Raiders. Then tomorrow night at 6:30, it's the turn of the Pittsburgh Steelers to take on the Baltimore Ravens and the St. Louis Rams against the Green Bay Packers. Don't forget our exclusive interactive stats and scoreboard service is also available for Sky digital viewers. That's live American football tonight and tomorrow night. But right now, the Stoop Harlequins are threatening to upset the odds like they did last year in the Cup. They currently lead the European champions Leicester by 6 points to 3. Let's have a look at the match facts. Well, Leicester have been under an enormous amount of pressure from Quins. They've conceded a lot of penalties, perhaps a little fortunate to have played the first 40 minutes with the entire 15 on the field at all times. Michael Anna, Dowie Morris here in the studio. Michael, would you say that tactically Quins have got it right in that first half?
Yes, they won the toss and decided to run into the wind, which was a bold decision, but they've got it right, yes. They've played a lot of the game down in the Leicester territory. Defensively, they've been very good. They've turned over a bit of ball and frustrated Leicester, I think, and the defence has been outstanding, swarming sort of defence. So they're very much on top of this game at the moment.
And playing it with ball in hand as well, because against the elements, that's the best way to do it. But also, you've got to say, when Leicester have had the ball, they're very flat, and the Quins are doing exactly what they did a year ago. They're up in their faces and not allowed to get an inch. But Quins, I've got to say, have started the better for me. And nice to see Burrows in the centre, you know, creating a few things with Greenwood. And this is a nice little step here, Mike.
Yeah, they're actually, Harlequins in the first half have created more opportunities and actually created more breaks into the wind, and they've been going very well. This is a lovely break down the right here.
But he, again, going back 12 months, he had an outstanding game that day, linking with Dave Wilson for one of the tries, I remember. But again, it's sort of worrying for Leicester, because I thought they would come out after the loss against Llanelli and really, whatever side they put out, would be absolutely going for it, and they haven't been able to.
Have you been impressed by Nick Duncan? A lot's been said about him, a lot of potential apparently. I mean, good first 40 minutes?
Yeah, he seems to be pretty confident there, and he really got over the top of Hamilton here and created, but didn't panic there at that stage. He beat a few people very well and unloaded just at the right time to Moore. He's played very well, Duncan, and he's very sprightly at half-back there, and his combination with Diprose has been very good. Dowie, I think this should have been a yellow card here.
Well, it should have been, because they've given 9 penalties away, and again, that has to be killing the ball. I mean, that was quick ball. There was an opportunity then for Harlequins, but again, we see it. I mean, Leicester are the tops of giving penalties away per game, but again, the referees don't get on it. And for me, you know, to make a good game a fast game, people have got to go to the bin. If they're killing the ball, they've got to go to the bin.
In a word each, can Quins go and win this cup tie?
Can they win it? Yes.
I said a word, yes?
Yes.
Well, will Lightning
Will they? I
strike
don't know.
twice at the Stoop? It's Harlequins who lead Leicester by 6 points to 3 after the first half, and the second half coming right up after this break.
A car's got to have shiny alloy wheels, power steering, sunroof. It's got to look good and be fun to drive. So there was only one thing for it. A Ford Fiesta Flight. With 0% finance over 3 years, it's all the car I ever wanted, at a price I can afford.
One tree is cut. The tree is shaped by many hands. 2 trees are planted. The tree gives life to many new forms. One tree is cut. The tree builds a strong, warm, beautiful house. 2 trees are planted. There are now more trees in the forest than before.
At Powergen, we and Monsters Inc. have one thing in common. It's not our power stations. It's not our workers.
Morning, Sally.
Morning, Ricky.
It's not our customer service.
Listen, I need a favour.
Whoa. No, what Powergen and Monsters Inc. have in common is our energy. Powergen, energy for mums, dads and little monsters everywhere. Call Powergen to find out how to earn Monsters Inc. rewards.
This Sky One Sunday, it's brand new Simpsons, but old memories for Homer.
Friends forever?
Friends forever.
Ow!
Ow, that hurt! We get a close-up, personal and very exclusive look at Michael Owen.
I like keeping myself to myself. I wasn't drunk or anything, I was just went out for something quick to our phone.
They thought they could handle it, they were wrong. Temptation's hungry and it's coming round for seconds.
She spoke about a kiss that he had given her.
Come get some. Tomorrow from 6 o'clock, this Sky One Sunday.
Here's a reminder about the live Premiership action on its way tomorrow. The pay-per-view match comes live from Stamford Bridge as Chelsea take on West Ham. The number to call for that one is 08705 160 160. Then at 3 o'clock, the Super Sunday game is Leeds United against Arsenal, live from Ellen Road. That's on Sky Sports 1 and interactive on Sky Sports Extra. At the Stoop this afternoon, a place in the semi-finals of the Powergen Cup is up for grabs, and in the second half, Quins will play with the win, but perhaps against a Leicester side bolstered by a formidable list of replacements they have on the bench. 6-3 the home side with the edge and the elements. Let's hand back to Stuart and Miles.
And the first news to tell you is that Leicester will be making changes in this second half. Martin Johnson is going to come on, and in fact he's just run out as the first man onto the field as if to make a point. Johnson replacing Deacon in the second row, and also in the back row we understand that Neil Back is on for Boulding. So Back and Johnson, 2 men of England, 2 men of the Lions, ready and raring in this second half. No great surprise there, Stuart.
No, because we haven't seen any fireworks from Leicester, just a squib so far. Johnson and Back, the captain, and of course the captain of the club. When Johnson's not playing, the 2 heart and soul men, if you like, of this Leicester team are out to really inject some drive, some determination. And you know, I'm thinking about Neil Back in the back row. I've been disappointed with the Leicester back row. Kronfeld really hasn't been that sharp onto the ball, and Back's there. Perhaps Kronfeld's game will be lifted by his old rival's presence.
So Corrie wearing 6 will go to play at number 8. Johnson, of course, will slip straight into the second row. And looking around, no changes made by Harlequins, but again, no surprise there. They had a good first half and they could have been further in front. They missed some opportunities, but then again, so did Leicester, and they missed some kicks at goal too. So ifs and ands, they're all forgotten now as we prepare for the next 40 minutes, which will decide this cup tie, who will go through to the semi-finals.
Diprose challenging Corrie immediately. Just look at that. And that's just symptomatic of Leicester's first half, really. Martin Corrie on his own, underneath the high ball, exposed, and Diprose turned him. It's just not Leicester at the moment. And you know, that's basic play, but it's given Harlequins a really good field position.
Duncombe to Burke. Of course, Nick Burrows made a couple of excellent breaks in the first half. We've been looking to use him again, but also their wingers, Jewell and Moore. They've also been used in virtual centre roles as they leave their wide positions. With the ball's turned over, Leicester put in. Let's get down to the touchline with Keith Wood, the injured Harlequin. He's with Graham.
Miles, thank you very much. Yes, if Keith Wood's got any voice left, we'll have a quick word with him because he's having a bit of a holler and a shout in the first half. You took the bold decision of playing into the wind first half. Are you surprised to be ahead at half-time, bearing in mind that you were against the elements?
I think that was the hope, that we would be in around that sort of region. Even if we were a few points down, I think it would have been good playing the first half. It's been quite fractured up to this point, really.
Now you're with the wind, Keith. I mean, do you change tactics or do you keep a good thing going and keep playing the way you were in the first half?
I think there has to be a certain amount of change. You do have to make certain that you hold on to the ball, but you also need to try and play field position, and we will play field position here.
Johnson and Back obviously are on. Is that in many ways a good news from your point of view? They may have brought them on early, they may have been a little rattled.
I don't know. I'm sure that they would have put them on anyway. They're big match players. We just have to keep the pressure on them to hope that we can get some scores in with this wind at their back, which is pretty big.
Good luck to you, Keith. Thanks for your time. Cheers.
Thanks, Graham. Keith Wood said it, big match players. He is one of those, and as Fugger throws in, no disrespect to the Harlequins hooker, but you just wonder what the presence of Wood would do for Harlequins in this second half. The reason why Harlequins have this position, a slice kick from Jordan Murphy, which was another pretty shoddy effort.
A nervy effort as well, Miles.
And Leicester get the benefit of a penalty, and Jamie Hamilton is the man to tap and go. This is Ollie Smith. He moves around the Leicester back line, sometimes a centre, sometimes a wing. Andy Good to Kafer. Leon Lloyd was waiting, but the ball never came, and Kafer just seemed to be treading in treacle there.
I think he felt that there was not enough space and too many defenders. I think that wasn't a bad decision from Kafer.
Not a bad decision either from Martin Johnson to impose himself on this match. That was a strong run. Cromfeld is stopped in his tracks by Jason Leonard, the world's most capped forward. As Richard Cockrell came on for Dorian West in the first half. Of course, it's Johnson now, the Leicester captain, when he's on the field. The referees have judged that to be offside, and he's also gone to his pocket. He's put him in the sin bin.
Let's go 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 7.
Tamarua.
Offside. I've warned the captains before then. You're offside.
Blatant offside, says Tony Spreadbury, and that is the sin bin. No warning. Well, not in this half. Tony Spreadbury says he's offered the warning before.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that that's the sort of offence for which the yellow card was invented. I suppose Harlequins might say, hey, but Leicester have been committing a lot more penalties than us. How come you haven't sent one of theirs off? But on that one decision, you'd have to say Tony Spreadbury's got it spot on. And of course, into the wind, Leicester don't go for goal, and it's Kafer, not Good, who chips one of those low drilled balls to the corner. Now, Johnson on, Back on. Have we been here before, Miles?
And Tamarua off, and you just wonder whether Harlequins can live with Leicester down to 14 men. They put in some terrific defence in the first half, but they'll need to rise to another level now, but they'll be helped by the fact that Cockrell has failed to throw in straight.
Interesting decision making there from the Tigers. You know, they've got good territory, a chance to really drive 8 against 7 up front, and they go against the wind for the long throw and make a mess of it.
And they go off the base of the scrum with only 2 back rowers, and there are a couple of fists flying in there as well as Burke clears and gets it away to that newsstand here. Immaculate it is, and it's brim full today as well, as is the ground all around us. Another sellout for this cup tie, and seeing Martin Johnson just push off a member of the opposition.
Just introducing himself to the Harlequins, I think. But a sense of urgency, that's the line out you feel they should have gone for 2 minutes ago. But they're driven back initially.
And Cockrell again doing good more work in the loose, and then Tuilangi. Better from the Leicester pack. It's more like it. Corrie stepping out of one tackle. Kronfeld goes with him. Tackled by Dipros. Neil back arrives. Just make sure that Leicester get the ball back and Harlequins don't come through to spoil themselves. Now it's along the line to Leon Lloyd. He's got Jordan Murphy with him. Good step from Jordan Murphy. Leicester upping the tempo. Martin Johnson barrelling on. Harlequins down to 14 men. It's Jamie Hamilton. It's also Martin Corrie, but he couldn't get it wide. There were 2 men waiting, and it's been knocked on. Hamilton throws the ball away. Harlequins survive again.
Well, at this stage in the meeting of the Premiership, Leicester turned the heat up and scored the tries. Austin Healy on the pitch. No Healy there. This time it's Murphy stepping. Cut the scissors angle with Lloyd. Johnson with the drive, but Harlequins held on. Now 8 against 7. Scrum under pressure.
Get away. Leave it, lads. Hands out. Stay back. Stay there. Stay back.
Dipros in the end did very well actually to form a bridge. There's always trampling around him, and Burke again Mr. Calm. And in the Premiership this season, Leicester, they've been the top try scorers.
Ashley, hold on, please.
And as we were saying, in this second half, this is the time when you expect Leicester to start to really gallop on and get to a new level.
But the question is, has a little demon entered their brain? They didn't score in 80 minutes plus injury time at Straddy. They didn't score in 47 minutes of first half action. 7 minutes this half. Not taking their chances. Certainly the intensity levels have been lifted, but I just wonder whether they're quite as calm. I think they need a score pretty soon just to settle them.
And in cup ties like this, you're always looking for psychological advantages, and if Harlequins can survive this 10-minute period without Tamarua and not concede any points as they make a change at hooker with Rodham coming on, and Johnny Rodham for Tani Fugat, they can get through this spell, and they can take great heart from that.
Yeah, they're up against it, no doubt, even with the wind in their favour, because the strength of the Leicester bench, they do bring on an ability to change gears that Harlequins just don't have with the injuries they've got. You're right, these are important moments.
And Cockrell again is taking some putting down. Hamilton high for Good, didn't want it there. Tuilangi, it's been lost, and it's Duncombe, and Burke may have thought about releasing Greenwood, but Greenwood gave him the nod to kick it long. And it's Murphy.
That's a good kick from Burke, isn't it? And Jordan Murphy, of course, the one thing he does lack that Stimson has is that very, very big boot. And Leicester, at the moment, are losing the kicking game.
It was also interesting that Greenwood made the call. Burke looked to him and said, "Do you want it?" And Greenwood was pointing, and Burke said, "OK." And when the fly half is making good decisions himself, has someone like Greenwood outside to help, it's a potent combination. What we're saying is they're not going to get much wrong. Burke, well, is that the right decision? Well, maybe it was, but he didn't quite execute the kick well enough, and it was too close to Murphy, and Murphy called for the mark, and now it's Leon Lloyd, who's such an abrasive player, and he did very well there to find Josh Kronfeld. But the tackling again from Harlequins is committed. Duncan was there, but there's a chance to bring it across to this side, and Jordan Murphy is an absolute flyer, and he's stepping. Now, was he tripped? No, says the referee. Play on. Slemmer made the tackle. It wasn't illegal. Hamilton, Good. Double miss there to find Neil back and then Leon Lloyd. There's players strewn everywhere. Jordan Murphy's down injured. In goes Corrie. Quins are stretched here. Tuilangi. Still Tuilangi. Now it's Cockrell outside. Is Ollie Smith. So important this, and Smith is going to score. He's not only going to score, he's going to make the kick easier as well. All the time you could feel that Harlequins were being stretched to the point where they could offer no more. Tamarua is off the field, and young Ollie Smith scores another try in the cup this season, and that could be critical.
Well, they've certainly gone from second gear to third gear. Did they get to fourth? Maybe. Tuilangi, foot down. Cockrell does so well, and Ollie Smith loops round, and Greenwood doesn't make the vital tackle. And that is an important score. We said Harlequins needed to hold out. It's the power of Tuilangi, and I have to say, the footballing skill of Richard Cockrell there. And then Greenwood, the England centre, cannot make the diagonal tackle.
And Smith very aware to take on White Cooper for pace and make sure that Good has every chance of making it 7 points, which Good does. Smith could easily, having beaten Greenwood, just dived into the corner and it would have been a difficult kick. Very good awareness there from Ollie Smith and also from Freddie Tuilangi.
A good play from Cockrell. Here's Greenwood, but Cockrell draws the man in to make the space. Greenwood wanted to go there. Cockrell wouldn't let him. He pulled him in, and there's the space wide. And Greenwood, one-on-one, can't make the tackle. Well played, Richard Cockrell.
Different game now.
Okay, thank you.
As Leicester lead by 10 points to 6.
Now, will that give them the mental boost that was clearly lacking for 50 minutes?
Let it go, boys, back foot.
Hamilton waiting, and then he gets swallowed up by the ruck, so Tuilangi to Good, and then Neil back. Harlequins very close to offside, but it wasn't given, and now there's a chance to break away for Greenwood. Greenwood nearly there. Did he lose that ball in the tackle? Referees allowed it to go again. And it's still with Quins as they look to strike back straight away. Desperate scramble by Diprose to make it in the corner. And the referee's given a penalty against Leicester, as once more they decide that 3 points is the better option.
Well, Harlequins will be feeling here that there must be a yellow card the other way.
Safe going in the bin. Offside.
Well, it will be a sin bin for offside. The cynical play, Rod Kafer. So now the boot's on the other foot as Leicester lose a man and Tamarua is about to re-emerge.
Rod Kafer having words with Brian Campsell there. Really angry with Campsell. Not me, he's saying. And I thought Greenwood was going to get there, but I thought first of all there was a knock-on here from Will Greenwood.
Well, I thought so too. I thought first of all that Harlequins were actually offside in midfield, but anyway, this is Greenwood, and yeah,
was a good work from Leon Lloyd to get back. No, I don't think there was. But Tony Spreadbury, you can see Kafer making the tackle. He's up very quickly. That meant the pass that went wide wasn't accurate. And hence the yellow card.
What it was an excellent smother from Greenwood to make sure that it went unnoticed if it was a knock-on.
But again, it's so un-Leicester to go into the lead and then just throw a silly ball like that in midfield to give the opposition a chance.
Here's Burke then. We said he had to get everything. And when he's being asked to deliver, Paul Burke is coming up with the goods.
Well, he's had a fine game, Burke. The spine of the Harlequins team, 8, 9 and 10 gone really well, but they're going to need a big half hour.
Tamarua is back on. Now it's Harlequins with 15 men, Leicester with 14. And he will want to make up for that because, well, to put it politely, it was a bit dull, wasn't it, what he did, and he got sent to the sin bin.
Well, a pinball of knock-ons there. Will Greenwood head in the air as if he was going away, but all theatrical. He knew there had been an initial knock-on by Leicester, then a Harlequins knock-on. So no advantage, of course. I don't expect Burke to be throwing big missed balls out to either wing here. Keith Wood intimated you play the percentage when you got the wind. It's their game plan. It's worked pretty well so far.
Burke. Tuilagi caught it, but he was out of play. And it's allowed to go with Smith.
Yeah, they're picking the pace up, Leicester, aren't they? The back three did well there, but it's turned over.
Yes, there's more snap about Leicester, but Harlequins have lost none of their intensity. And this is building up now into an excellent quarter-final. A win which could transform Harlequins' season, just like the semi-final last year. As Greenwood goes, finds Matt Moore, onto Rob Jewell, beats the first man. Half tackled by Murphy. Duncombe arriving quickly, and this is where Harlequins must use it quickly. Greenwood again. Still Will Greenwood against his former club. And starting to love every minute of this as Harlequins get the put in. Oh, it's good now.
Question marks about Greenwood's form. That was a superb break. The running line was good. The timing of the pass was excellent there. Gave Rob Jewell half a chance and then Greenwood in support. But Greenwood's initial line, you know, was superb. The timing of his passing has been hot all afternoon now. Tony Diprose, another key man for Harlequins at the base of this scrum. His young scrum half will be under pressure. Can Diprose? Yeah, he goes for it.
Big moment as Duncombe gets it on to Burke. Oh, there's a chance! And there's a try! It's Burrows! It's underneath the posts, and Harlequins take the lead. It was crunch time. They were inside the Leicester 22, and against Leicester you have to produce, and they did.
Well, we said, can Diprose do something? Decision-making was excellent. It was a fine scrummage. He held the Leicester defence. Duncombe did well, and Burrows, who's been a constant threat with his lines. Watch Diprose, he takes back out. Duncombe with the missed ball, a bit lucky there. Burke fumbles, but Burrows was coming on a fabulous 7-point line. Burrows threatened in the first half. He delivers in the second half. What a cup tie, it's come alive.
So a try for both sides now since the interval. And yes, there was a bit of luck in this as the ball pops up, but Burrows was there, and he has been picking good lines all day. That's where you don't point to luck, you point to skill, because Burrows has been on hand and threatening all afternoon.
Nothing lucky about the line. I mean, it was a short ball from Burke to Burrows. That was the call. Well, it just came perfectly. It flipped off Burke. Now can Harlequins hold on?
So back to you, Leicester, and so often that means an improvement in their performance.
Yeah, and of course, the try came with Kafer off, the extra man. Quins making it tell. Twenty minutes to go, and you can see Harlequins have a small lead, but it's going to get tough. Leicester, a very strong final quarter finisher. 12 points on average in the Premiership. What could they do in the Cup?
Leicester getting the put in for the first offence, and now it's Murphy, and look at this tackling. Oh, and he might break for more. He's got it inside Corey, but no, the flag is up. The flag is up.
Well done.
Neil Back hasn't heard the whistle.
Well done, lads. Touch there.
And there you go. It's the right foot, pushes into touch. Well, I've got to say, I think Leicester had the cover coming across there, but an exciting tie, really come alive. So important for Harlequins to bounce back from that Leicester score, and they've come back with 10 of their own.
Leicester beaten against Llanelli last weekend. Now Harlequins in another cup competition. And they get away with that because the line-out throw again was not good. And this is Lloyd, and it's another fumble out wide. And Will Greenwood kicks on. Murphy will fancy this race, but he won't fancy getting up with the ball because Greenwood will be there. And the referee has given the penalty because Murphy wasn't allowed to get up.
Real frustration there for Will Greenwood. He was looking for the support to come up with him, and he held off Murphy there, but in the end he just couldn't resist going 1 metre too far. I don't know whether he slipped, you know. But again, errors from Leicester in their passing game. And even though, okay, nothing came of it, Leicester on the back foot. He's trying to wait off it. Well, he just slips, goes off his knees, and it is a penalty.
Just couldn't put the brakes on.
No.
Hamilton, now he's got to deal with bad ball. Just like Duncan had to in the first half. Good. And the difference here is that now Harlequins will throw in. Before, with it being a penalty, it was Leicester in control of the ball.
And what about the mood swing in the ground as well? Since that try, it was going Leicester's way. You could hear the away supporters. And suddenly, the cup specialists are starting to look across the road again.
The runners-up last year, Harlequins, with every intention of returning to Twickenham in this year's final. They thought they were hard done by with that line-out call at the end of last season's cup final. There we see Twickenham, which enabled Newcastle to come up with that dramatic last-minute score. This is Burke, half break from him, picked up by Tamarua. Garrick Morgan, good hands from the big man. White Cooper, onto the Leicester 22 and inside it now. Duncan, oh, he's back for the drop goal. Sleman is waiting, and it's not.
It's a good idea. Tries to go over the Leicester defence. And David Sleman's a good enough strike. Just to the left. And well, if that had gone over, ooh, he knew that was close. 9 points with 17 left.
It just looked for a second there that Tony Spreadbury was about to signal it. Half the crowd went up.
Okay.
That'd be a worry. But Paul Burke was not able to continue. He's had a fine game today.
Well, they have the option of Sleman to move in at 10, or even Will Greenwood, of course.
The whole kicking game goes, though, and the control.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, the Burke-Greenwood axis has been working so well.
Yes, it has.
If the scores are level, as they were for Harlequins in the previous round against Sale, then we have 10 minutes each way of extra time. And then if they're still level, it's who scored most tries. But that's a long way away. A lot can happen between now and the 80-minute mark. And this is Burke, Greenwood. Good pick-up by Sleman to give the ball to Jewell. In fact, it's Burrows, and Burrows kicking on down the line. And it's well covered by Murphy. Excellent cover from Murphy. Oh, what's he doing? It's a wonderful effort to get out of defence. There's not a moment he could have got the kick away. He had to keep running. Tuilagi, Lloyd, and Leicester really have a chance, but that's a tap tackle and a big 1-2 from Burrows. It's all happening. And Harlequins will put into this scrum as the ball was knocked forward. And the crowd appreciate what they're seeing.
Wow, superb rugby, a great hit on Greenwood. And Harlequins almost away. Burrows, who's having a fine game, did well. Jordan Murphy, well, he did brilliantly. Took a fabulous tackle from Garrick Morgan, you know, to stop him. But Leon Lloyd, well, he had an option. I think he was away if he'd got another metre. 70 metres out, but Leicester had a big chance.
Paul Burke putting up the high one. You may have seen Harry Ellis there wearing 21. He's the new scrum half for Leicester, having replaced Jamie Hamilton. This is Josh Cromfeld from Jordan Murphy's quick take of the mark. And Darren Garforth is also on in the Leicester front row.
Strong from Lloyd, almost away once. This time he's just piling on the power.
He is a very strong player, and this is Kafer setting it up inside for Murphy. Tamarua's tackle, but not before Murphy could get it back. And coming from deep was Ben Kay. Kafer again, good. This is now just a slugging match between these two. All pre-match plans have gone out the window.
But there's plenty of width and pace. I think Leicester will quite like it if it stays wide.
It's about adapting to the conditions, the new conditions of the match.
No, it's not. No, it's not. He's trying to do it. He's trying to get away. Not Seneca's, no problem, Richard. I was there very quick. On his feet this slot.
With Quins leading by 6 points inside the final quarter. And Leon Lloyd continues to threat with these strong runs. Look at the power of the man.
If the ball had got away to back, they did have men there again. Harlequins had cover. It was a tremendous tackle from Burrows, you know. I wonder, we talked about the importance of Austin Healey when Leicester haven't been at their best. Their little genie pops out of the bottle and produces the match winner. Who can come and do it for Leicester at the moment? Because as every minute goes down on the clock, well, Harlequins will think we're in this. Now Burrows struggling. Tuolangi taken by Burrows, and Burrows hurt his knee making that tackle. And you notice it's not the kick at goal, they're going for the corner. Now last time they went to the back and they had a fancy move coming infield. I wonder, will they go that man Johnson? Will we see number 22 Neil back try and steer the catch and drive?
Cockrell needs to get it right, and does. Corrie with the catch. Harry Ellis driving his forwards on, telling them which way to go. They know where the try line is. The ball pops out, and Kay tries to burrow through. Back with Ellis, was that tapped out of his hand? Referee's given a knock on.
No, it's not. He just knock on that. I saw very clear. What is this, sir?
Tempers fraying.
Okay.
All getting very nervous. Brian Campsell will speak to Tony Spreadbury. Campsell is a very cool, experienced customer. A little bit of swinging between Tamarua and Cockrell. No real blows landed there, but both making points. Matt Morin trying to stop it, and Tamarua. Well, you need a new shirt, mate.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, fine.
He's already had a yellow
Scrum
card.
to Leicester's original decision, okay, but number 2, please, 7, please. Martin as well. No problem, no problem. Derek. Huh? Right, touch just called. You two having a go at each other. All right, listen to me. Right, okay? No comment, thank you. Difficult call who started what, all right? So we'll go back to the original one. Was a knock-on by Miss Tony Dipros, and it's your scrum, okay, lads? Yeah. No, hang on, lads. We let him change his jersey, lads, all right?
Now we have a stop for a jersey change.
Mind you, that jersey is unlikely to be reused.
A few punters could lose their jersey here, you know. A lot of people thought Leicester were banker material today. The spread companies were making them 14-point favourites, and it has not panned out that way. Now, Tamura needs a very, very big defensive 10 minutes. What a scrum this is for Harlequins and Leicester.
The steely look from Martin Johnson. Ellis is poised to put in. It locks initially, and then the mini drive, and it's out to Good. It's Kafer. Ellis. Good. Inside border to Ilangi. Tamarua back on his feet to make the tackle. Ellis again. Good once more. Long floated pass. Cockrell. Sensible ball. Good ball. Try-scoring pass to Kafer, and Leicester do score, but it's in the corner, or towards that part of the pitch. Now, the kick will be critical. Fine score by Leicester. They didn't hang around, they didn't keep it too tight. They thought the backs could do it, and they, courtesy of that long pass from Good and then that lovely little roll round from Cockrell, made sure that they did do it.
Harry Ellis did well there, switched the ball to Andy Good very well. Cockrell out wide, doesn't seek the glory, he sets up his mate Rod Kafer. It's a well-worked try. Credit to Leicester because they trusted their backs. They didn't get nervous 5 metres out and go for the double shunt against the Harlequins team that have scrummaged. They put width on the game and they got their reward.
So Good with a 50% record. Oh, what a kick! What a kick from Andy Good. And now it's Harlequins with work to do as Leicester go in front. He concentrated so hard, he made sure he would not be denied.
Mark of a fine player. He's kicked badly all afternoon from ground. That's a superb kick. 5 metres out, straight through the middle. And the champions fight back immediately. But this game, it's got some life in it.
Bruce Starr is the latest player to enter this cup tie, which is now starting to bubble up into a fantastic finish. Well, it was coming back to Quins. In fact, Duncan had it, but the referee didn't see it. Split second, but a big decision.
Yeah, Leicester will be very happy. 7 minutes plus injury time just to keep the ball at the moment.
Over the man off for Starr then.
Stay there, stay there, stay there.
Ellis, Good. Ollie Smith. Oh, that's a fine run from Ollie Smith, cutting them apart. Kicked on by Lloyd, but scrambled back by Harlequins. The referee has seen a knock on in there though, and it will still be Leicester ball, but there Ollie Smith showing what he can do. Leicester knowing now that another score could be the winning score.
Well, Ollie Smith, the right wing, coming all the way across. Lovely little step. The support doesn't quite get there, but coming off the blindside wing, very hard for defences to mark the spare man. He picked the line, he picked his defender. That's a good break from Ollie Smith.
Quins about to make a change as well, and they're holding up number 13, which is the number of Will Greenwood. Has to be an injury because they don't want to lose Greenwood at this stage of the match. Chris Bell, another very promising player to burst on the scene this season, comes in for Greenwood, but he will admit himself he's no Greenwood yet, and that's a blow to Quins' chances. Good. Oh, that's high on Murphy, and the reaction of the Leicester players. It's a yellow card for the high tackle.
But just watch the reaction here. Burrows is beaten by the change of angle. It's a high tackle, but there's no intent. And if you watch Jordan Murphy afterwards, I think that's telling. Burrows has no intent there. It is a penalty. But watch Jordan Murphy. He doesn't stay down. He looks at the referee. Just watch this. He gets up, he looks for Nick Burrows, and he says, no problem, mate. He knew that there was no intent. But it was good to see Murphy so sporting there. He didn't try and milk a yellow card there. He got up and got on with it. With this penalty, Miles, that could really make it difficult for Quins, because the penalty drop goal is no longer enough.
Time for Good to get on with it again. Still with memories fresh of that excellent conversion. This one from in front of the post. Sails on and on. Andy Good, struggling for kicking form earlier in the match, has rediscovered his form from a Leicester point of view at just the right moment. Murphy high tackled. Again, Harlequins reduced in number. See, Burrows was saying sorry straight away, but the Leicester players knew it was at the very least a penalty, and it was over to the referee to decide that it was also a sin bin too.
Great take from Dipros there, exactly what the Quins needed. Now,
and so is this, a penalty.
I think Burke will look for 3 points. They do have the option of going for the corner, but they know there's a bit of injury time. Tony Spreadbury played 6 in the first half, and a penalty here just keeps them within range. A real percentage call, isn't it? Because they could have gone for the corner, the catch and drive, but Leicester don't concede many under pressure.
But it wasn't a big debate, was it? They seemed to know what they wanted to do, and that's always good for the kicker, who is thrown straight in there. Well, he won't mind that. He will throw himself straight in there. The way he's been kicking today. Yeah, he wanted it, and here he comes. That's why he wanted it, because he knew what would happen. So did the Quins supporters. They weren't worried by the decision. They had every faith in their fly half, Paul Burke. Again, there's 1 point between the sides.
But I tell you what, those posts are about 25 metres wide as far as Paul Burke is concerned. As soon as the penalty was given, he rushed up, put it down, kicked it. No messing around. Let's not waste time. Now, can they get down into Leicester territory?
Down the middle from Good there. Now Dipros is complaining that Sleman was taken out in the air, having made the catch. He's still having a go at Tony Spreadbury as Burke gets it away, but only as far as Steve Booth, who's now on the field, and there's Nick Duncombe for Harlequins. So their ball. And Burke. Keep the ball! Dipros, little chip ahead. This might work, it might not. It was one of those pinball situations which could have gone anywhere. But some holding off the ball. And inevitably, the Harlequin supporters cry sin bin.
I tell you what, Paul Burke has probably got half a mind. He's going for it. He is going for it. I just thought he's about 55 metres, but he looked at those posts, and I almost thought, he just thought, I'm going to get this.
Well, looking at the flags, we're a bit protected from the wind here in our commentary position. Just wonder how strong it is out there still. The flags are certainly bending a bit. All hush then for Burke. For the lead. It's an almighty effort. Oh, he's done it! Paul Burke! That is a kick from his dreams.
Well, it's the first kick that hasn't gone straight through the middle, but it's the first he's gone for from 57 metres. Oh yes, what a kick from Burke. Under pressure. Leicester now have to fight back. What a cup tie, what a second half.
Harlequins put in.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly. Not long. No, scrum.
Totally justified in wanting the ball. Poor Berg, he scored 22 points in the last round. He's not far off today. Well, that's what Harlequins have, and Leicester, Dean Richards' Leicester, the European champions, have 20. Burke plays the percentages, but there will be plenty of time to add on. It's been a stop-start second half from that point of view. John Kingston looks at his watch, he can't bear it. Richard Hill, 8 Cup winners' medals for Hill, and Keith Wood there in the middle. So much experience, but more nerves than just about anybody in the ground. Good tap that on, and then another knock on from Kafer, and it's Harlequins' ball.
Well, Andy Goode suffered under pressure. He's kicked the 2 great goals, but I have to say, even if Leicester do come back in the dying second, that man, Paul Burke, has controlled it beautifully with his boot. A tactically marvellous game, and under pressure, glorious kicking, and there's another fine probing ball. Unlucky.
Waiting to see whether the ball goes dead. Ooh. Well, very unlucky now, because the ball will come all the way back from where Burke kicked it, and that will be a Leicester put into the scrum. That's the law these days. If you kick dead, it can be very costly.
You know, that's the first kick from ground or hand from Paul Burke that hasn't gone to its intended destination. Now, test of champions.
Kafer, Good, Murphy. Diprose was there waiting. He's held that cup aloft before for Saracens, and he wants to get his hands on it now for Harlequins. This is Leon Lloyd. Good. It just wouldn't come for Booth. And the referee blows! And Harlequins knock out Leicester for the second year running. They did it in the semi-final last year. This time is the quarter-final. They will go to the Medeski Stadium as one of the last 4. It could be a result that transforms their season. And once again, in just over 12 months, we have scenes of delirium here at the Stoop as Harlequins beat the best team in the land. And Paul Burke had so much to do with it. What a dramatic kick to win it. Will Greenwood against his former club. It's Harlequins who go through.
Astonishing scenes of deja vu here. Leicester were hurt by last week's defeat, but for Harlequins and Kingston, that's the biggest win this season.
John Kingston is shedding a tear. The man who came from Ireland, where he was coaching since his days at Richmond, for this challenge here at Harlequins, a job that he desperately wanted. He's been helped along by an Irishman in Paul Burke today. Harlequins got it right. They played the game on their terms.
Yes, and Leicester didn't have that steely self-belief. It's a fine line in cup competitions. Leicester are the best in England. They win the percentage games week in, week out, but they weren't at their best. Harlequins were inspired. Diprose, Burke, Greenwood, a deserved win for Harlequins, an astonishing cup quarter-final.
Leicester may go on to win the Premiership. Looking at it, they probably will. They might retain their European crown, but they will not go to Twickenham in the Powergen Cup. Harlequins are one step away from repeating a Twickenham appearance. They were runners-up last year. They won that trophy this year.
Well, emotions running high at the Stoop. That game qualifying as a cup classic without fear of contradiction. Harlequins through to the last 4, Leicester out of the cup. Now there's lots more